All right. We're there. Oh, the internet. The internet. You know, this internet is just not got what it takes. It's just not got When are we going to install the internet in the temple room? Tomorrow. Yeah. Is it? Okay. Oh, really? Right. Gotcha. Okay. Let's see. Okay, please, because it's, this existing thing, I tell you, it's a battle. It's a battle. It's a battle. It freezes and okay. Anyway, okay, but something, because I tell you, I'm sitting here and I'm looking at the screen, and it didn't crash, but it almost crashed. Just cut twice while we're talking. Oh yeah, it's bad news. Okay. Yeah, that would definitely be best. Okay. Haribol. Welcome, devotees. Oops. Okay. Gonna turn this thing off. Oh, I got to unmute myself. Huh? Yeah.
I'll ask for a meeting ID or something. Do you know that, or Mahaprabhu?
A meeting ID?
Yeah, he said he has a code, but he wants a meeting ID.
Krishna.
Okay,
no.
Someone
okay,
else.
All right. So we just got to. Yeah. Turn off. And we hope the microphone level's okay, because it's too late now. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihare Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihare Gopi Jana Balava Girivaradhare Gopi Jana Balava Girivaradhare Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Yamunatira Anachare Yamunatira Anachare Radhamadava Kunja Bihare Jaya Radhamadava Kunja Bihare Gopi Jana Balava Girivaradhare Gopi Jana Balava Girivaradhare Yashodanandana Janaranjana Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Yamunatira Anachare Yamunatira Anachare Radhamadava Kunja Bihare Jaya Radhamadava Kunja Bihare Jai Prabhupada 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 Jaya Prabhupada Jai Prabhupada 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 Jai Jai Prabhupada Prabhupada Jaya Vishnupad Paramahansa Parvrajacharya Stadisamath. His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki. ISKCON's founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki. Shri Shri Radha Radhanath Ki. Shri Giri Govardhan Ki. Sankirtan Yagya Ki. Go Premanande. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. This morning we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 28, Kapila's instructions on the execution of devotional service. And we are reading verse 12. Yada svam. Yada mana swam virajam yogena susamahatitam kashtam bhagavato jayet swa nasagravalokana yadamana swam virajam yogena susamahitam kastam bhagavato jayet swanasagravalokana yadamana swam virajam yogena susamahitam kastam bhagavato jayet swanasagravalokana yadamana swam virajam yogena susamahitam kastam bhagavato jayet swanasagravalokana Mataji's. Yada, when, mana, the mind, swam, own, virajam, purified, yogena, by yoga practice, susamahitam, controlled, kastam, the plenary expansion, Bhagavata, of the personality of Godhead, Dhyayet, one should meditate upon, Swanasa agra, the tip of one's nose, Avalokana, looking at. Translation: when the mind is perfectly purified by this practice of yoga, one should concentrate on the tip of the nose with half-closed eyes and see the form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. It is clearly mentioned here that one has to meditate upon the expansion of Vishnu. The word kastam refers to Paramatma, the expansion of Vishnu. Bhagavata refers to Lord Vishnu, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Supreme Godhead is Krishna. From him comes the first expansion, Baladev, and from Baladev comes Sankarshan, Aniruddha, and many other forms, followed by the Purusha avatars. As mentioned in the previous verses, Purusharchanam, this Purusha is represented as the Paramatma or Supersoul. A description of the Supersoul upon whom one must meditate will be given in the following verses. In this verse, it is clearly stated that one must meditate by fixing the vision on the tip of the nose and concentrating one's mind on the kala, or the plenary expansion of Vishnu. Yada mana swam virajam, yogena su samahitam, kastam bhagavato jyayet, swanasa gravalokana. When the mind is perfectly purified by this practice of yoga, one should concentrate on the tip of the nose with half-closed eyes and see the form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Preda Bhutale Shrimati Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharane Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pastyachadesha Tarne Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadha Shivas Adi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Vanchkalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Yes, so Lord Kapila is continuing his instructions, and for the last few verses or so, Lord Kapila has been addressing the point of the need to focus the mind on the Supreme Personality of Godhead if one is to actually practice spiritual life, is one way of putting it, or another way to cultivate some process of meditation, which again, of course, is on the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but it is one of a number of activities or processes. But the basic point is how to focus the mind. Because the mind, as has been discussed in the last verses also, the mind, otherwise, if it's not focused, the mind has the propensity to become problematic. Perhaps some of us have experienced that. I have experienced that. Problematic is putting it very mildly. The mind has the capability, the propensity, but let us say the capability of destroying everything in life. Even if the mind goes too far out of control, people finish their lives and talk about creating problems. Yeah. So the control, the focusing of the mind, the controlling of the mind so it doesn't just run away, and the focusing of the mind, both of which are sort of included together, although some may first control the mind and then try to focus it on something specific. But basically what has been presented here, and in our practice of Krishna consciousness, how it works is that the process for controlling the mind and stopping the mind from just running here and there is the same process for focusing the mind. Yes, particularly in our practice of Krishna consciousness, to control the mind, to stop the mind from getting up to its mischief, or worse than mischief, just horrible program of activity. To stop the mind, get it under control, so it will do what we tell it instead of trying to tell us what to do. So to control the mind, we have to chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. As much as possible, or even more than just as much as possible. How's that? More than as much as possible. That's a lot, completely. Yes, we have to just become absorbed completely in the chanting of the transcendental sound vibration of the holy names of the Lord. That will stop the mind from running to unspecified destinations, all of them bad and destructive, actually. But that chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, that is the goal. That is what we want to concentrate on. Not that we will get control, so now the mind is doing as it's told, but now we will just tell it to do something other than what we did to bring it to the point of being under control. So this is how it works in Krishna consciousness, although from what we've been reading the last few verses, there's this tendency to separate the control of the mind from the focus, the positive focus. And even this verse here is somewhat putting it like that, first of all, when the mind is perfectly purified by this practice of yoga, what was this practice of yoga? Breathing exercises. When the mind is perfectly purified by these breathing exercises, then one should concentrate on the tip of the nose with half-closed eyes and see the form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It sounds slightly unusual. Concentrate on the tip of the nose. One will go cross-eyed, right? As children, that's how we would play. Go cross-eyed. Focus on the tip of your nose. Haribol. So the mind is now purified by the breathing exercises. Then, with half-closed eyes, not wide open, not completely closed, because then you fall asleep, but with half-closed eyes, so it's more, if your eyes were wide open, there's a greater danger of seeing the wrong things and getting distracted. If the eyes are half closed and you're looking at the tip of the nose, it's not so likely. The vision will get distracted. So like you do like that, and then you see the form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Well, it sounds, from the description here, it sounds like in your mind, In your mind, which is purified now through the breathing exercises, in your mind you should visualize the form of the Lord. It sounds like that because you're looking at the tip of the nose. That's where your vision is. So it's a process of meditation, a somewhat complex process of meditation, which begins with the breathing exercises. So, of course, as we mentioned a couple of days ago, it's been mentioned in class on a few occasions that our process for achieving what Lord Kapila Dev is talking about achieving, at least the basic idea, in Krishna consciousness, like we said, we chant Hare Krishna. That's what we do. We don't bother about the breathing exercises. As we mentioned 2 days ago, when His Holiness Ram Govinda Maharaj was describing in some detail the breathing exercises, I was trying to perform them to see what happened. And my conclusion was, I don't think I'm ready for it. I think I'll just chant Hare Krishna. Shri Shri Radha Radhanath, Shri Giri Govardhan, Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Ki Jai. Yeah, better for me, and I think for us, frankly, but definitely for me, just to focus on chanting the holy names. And as we make some progress in chanting the holy names, then it becomes easier to, for example, to remember the form of the Lord, to remember the deity, even just to look at the deity and keep focused on the deity. As one progresses in the chanting of the holy names, it becomes easier to read the literatures and remain focused without, again, the mind doing the wrong things. And then when one is chanting nicely and hearing the chanting nicely, and thereby one is able to read the books and remain absorbed in that and the form of the Lord, and reading about and remembering the pastimes, the qualities of the Lord, then one can engage in devotional service. I mean, of course, that is all devotional service. But then one can engage in one's practical prescribed duty in devotional service. Someone is preaching, someone is cleaning, someone is cooking, someone is worshiping the deity, and so on and so forth. One's practical service, it becomes easier to become absorbed because that practical service is a very important part of the process. One needs to be able to become absorbed in the practical service without becoming distracted too easily. And this will then make, you could say, the whole picture of one's life in Krishna consciousness, it will tend to make it complete and very fulfilling and satisfying. So anyway, here in this particular verse, and we saw in the purport, ultimately what's spoken about, what's focused on, is the meditation on the form of the Lord. And Srila Prabhupada analyzes the verse, Kashtam Bhagavato Jayet. At least in this approach, as given by Lord Kapila, in this approach, one should meditate on, he is saying, on kashtam. Aha. Aha. The batteries run out or something. Or did it overheat?
Absolutely. Yeah, it is. And the battery's still full.
Huh?
The battery's still full.
Okay. We may have, anyway, okay. Excuse me. Hare Krishna. So, yeah, kashtam. Kashtam. Where Lord Kapila is directing, instructing that in this process of meditation which he is talking about, that one should focus on the plenary expansion, Bhagavata, of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Jayet, one should meditate upon. And this is referring, Prabhupada describes, this is referring to the Paramatma, the Supersoul. Or as he puts it here, the expansion of the expansion of Vishnu, the expansion of Vishnu, who is the expansion of Krishna. Yes. So, yes, and then Srila Prabhupada goes into some a little detailed explanation of the hierarchy, you could say, that the Supreme Godhead, of course, is Lord Krishna. Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. Krishna is the original Supreme Personality of Godhead, from whom all other forms of the Lord come, and for that matter, from whom all other forms of everything comes, just everything comes. He is the original source. Swayam Bhagavan means directly the very one who is the possessor of all opulences. Yeah. And so then any expansions, in one sense, the expansions fall into the category of being opulences or manifestations from Krishna. So in other words, very specifically, Krishna is the original source. And then next comes Lord Balaram. From Lord Balaram comes Sankarshan. And then from Sankarshan come Aniruddha, Pradyumna, and Vasudev in Goloka. And then from Sankarshan in Goloka, who has come from Balaram, who has come from Krishna, but from Sankarshan comes, he is called Maha Sankarshan. I'm not quite sure why. Anyway, but he's called Maha Sankarshan. And he manifests from Sankarshan. That Sankarshan is in Goloka. The Maha Sankarshan is in Vaikuntha. And from him comes another Aniruddha, Pradyumna, and Vasudev. Prabhupada refers to them as the second quadruple. And the first quadruple, that's Sankarshan, Aniruddha, Pradyumna, and Vasudev in Goloka. Right. And then, well, Prabhupada just says that from the ones in Goloka, the quadruple, come many other forms, but we just mentioned the second quadruple. And then eventually, well, from the Mahasankarshan come all the other Vaikuntha forms, unlimited number of four-armed forms, each of whom has their own Vaikuntha planet, usually, means many, 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 so many. And then again, from the Mahasankarshan comes Mahavishnu. Prabhupada mentions, followed, many other forms come from the first quadruple, and then followed by the Purusha avatars. And Purusha avatars begin with Mahavishnu, also known as Karanadakshayi Vishnu, who lies down in the causal ocean. All the universes come from him, and then in each universe appears an expansion of his called Garbhadakshayi Vishnu, who lies down in the Garbhadak ocean at the bottom of each and every universe. And from him comes Kshirodakshayi Vishnu, who bases himself. Generally, everyone has a base in life to live out, like totally out of a suitcase. That's a little challenging, just permanently on the road. So Kshirodakshayi Vishnu, he has a base, and that is Swetadweep. Yeah, in the milk ocean, because he is Kshirodakshayi, means he's there in the milk ocean. Kshirodakshayi, you could say. And then his forms are in everyone's heart and ultimately in everyone's atom. Vishnura Mahan Sa Iha Yasya Kala Vishesho. Try again. Yeah. Vishnur Mahan Sa Iha Yasya Kala Vishesho. This term kala was used, yes, it was used. A kala, it basically means part of a part. A kala is a part of a part. Yes, so the Paramatma, that Paramatma who's there on Swetadweep, Kshirodakshayi Vishnu, who's within our hearts, who is within every atom, that is the kashtam that Lord Kapila is saying that we must meditate upon. Not we, but the yogis whose process he is describing here. But now, like we mentioned, Lord Kapila is describing a particular form of yoga, a Krishna conscious yoga, which includes a lot of devotional service and a lot of things that we do, but we do not do everything that he is instructing his particular followers. And this is one thing that we don't do. I mean, also like the breathing exercises, as we've been going through the verses we've mentioned, we don't do those breathing exercises. Actually, Srila Baladev Vijayabhushan makes the point in his commentary on Bhagavad Gita that to do those breathing exercises, he says, to do those breathing exercises with a view to helping in your devotional service, He says, this then becomes a form of yoga mishra bhakti. It is now not really pure bhakti, because you are adopting some external process to help you in your bhakti, whereas bhakti is self-sufficient. So therefore, we, as we mentioned, like we said over the last so many days, we just chant Hare Krishna. We don't do the breathing exercises. We chant Hare Krishna, we read the books, and so on. We try to remember Krishna. And when we're engaging in our service, we're doing it for Krishna. And of course, here we are in the temple, and many of us are doing direct service for Sri Sri Radharanath. So while we're doing our service, we should remember Sri Sri Radharanath. Actually remember them, their forms. You know, sometimes in class, devotees test the devotee. The devotee who's giving class tests the devotees by saying, don't look at the deities just for a moment. Just don't look at the Tell me what color outfit the deities are wearing without looking. And then we see if you've really been focused or just sort of more casual. But particularly, I mean, for everyone really, Haribol, particularly for those who are actually engaged in the direct service of the deity, then it's nice to actually remember the deity, actually. Not just in a general sense, but how they are today. And then, of course, remember that I am actually engaged in their service, whatever I'm doing, cooking, deity worship, some helping with the backup or whatever it may be. I am actually engaged in the service of the deity and pray to the deity and really meditate like that on how can I serve better to the best of my ability. How can I do like this? And this is our process. Whereas Lord Kapila is saying, when your mind is purified through controlling your breathing, then concentrate on the tip of your nose with half-closed eyes, and then in your mind see the form of the Lord. If you are trying to dress the deities with, you're looking at the tip of your nose, you're going to have difficulty dressing the deities. You got to look at the deities. So therefore, our process in that sense is somewhat different. As they say, same but different. Yeah, sort of same but different. Achintya Bhed Abhed Tattva. This is Krishna consciousness according to Lord Chaitanya. So let us try and do like that. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. You know, I have an idea. I don't know. We may have to start using single batteries. Yeah. Particularly on hot days, like it's hot now. Well, you know what we can do? We can actually just use the dummy batteries. You know what? The dummy batteries. Then you don't need to change them at all.
Yeah.